Hello, folks. Hello, hello, hello. I've been doing this thing here for too long to really realize that if I leave the lamp sitting right behind me, it will distract me while I'm looking at myself making the video. It helps to make the human connection when I look at the screen and I look at it comfortably. Rebecca, thank you for this wonderful cup. I don't use it often, but thank you. It's a loving cup. It's a loving cup. Thank you. Cheers. You know, it is true that as we get older, we have to try harder to stay on track. And I do find myself talking and running, jumping from thought to thought, and then I'll lose train of thought. But I'm not going senile. I'm just noticing that, and so I have to try harder. One of the things that I was trying to say yesterday about my neighbor's situation is that because of living in the inner city on the poorer side of town, I grew up with the reality of people having to do what they have to do out of desperation to make money. And when you don't have very many skills, and when opportunities are not equally available to you because of the color of your skin, then you do what you have to do. I don't excuse it, but it's not something new that I have never seen before. The way that behavior affects the whole community is negative, though. Okay, so for example, yesterday we heard that was like 7 in the morning when I was making that video yesterday, and you heard all that madness, screaming and hollering at 7 in the morning. So she didn't have a super busy day yesterday, but it was going on. It's very sad. It's very sad. Looking at the comments, someone said, well, I don't even know if it's a someone, and I want to say it like this. The anonymity that the internet affords some people is off-putting at this time, okay, because of AI. So, for example, someone whose moniker is someone on the internet, they asked a decent question, but that anonymity is bugging me. It is. I'm just going to say. But the person asked, has the poet sent you recordings of them reciting the verses? To not do so would make it as difficult to feel what the poet does as you seem to have found. That's a nice query, but I already answered. I can do this because this person is a local personality. He's a DJ. He was had Otis 12 was on the popular rock station for ages, and then he moved on to classical music, and he was on there for ages. Otis 12. Matter of fact, when I run into people, I've been a little bit busy, having to leave the house and go out in public, and every time I do that, I run into people that I haven't seen forever or who recognize me. And, one of the things that happens in conversations, so what are you up to these days? I'm still doing music. I've been mentioning because I'm proud of trying to get this done. I mentioned that I'm trying to write some music for Otis 12. Everybody knows right away who Otis 12 is in Omaha. His voice is ubiquitous. Everyone in Omaha knows his voice. It's very recognizable. So that's not a problem. And I already have some stuff to present to him. So I made some headway yesterday. But at the same time, thank you. That is a sensible question. But I want to just tell you that I don't like your moniker. Someone on the internet. We're at the point now where it's been this way for a while, where you don't always know if the person is a bot or real. I've complained about this on Facebook. A couple of the Facebook record collecting groups have been invaded by my AI, and I have complained. And one of the groups, the YouTube vinyl community, the administrator was able to get the AI disabled. Why would I talk to an AI that poses a question? Robots don't collect records. And that's what I said. You know, I post the records for other people to look at and to share thoughts on if they want to. Bots they don't collect records. The way that the way that industry and technology is going, they're really trying hard to achieve consciousness in AI, which is just it's going to bite us in the ass. I predict strongly that the human race will regret when AI becomes fully conscious. And people are arguing, well, that can't happen. Well, how do you know? Because you don't know. So that's no comfort that there's people arguing, oh, AI is just it, it's just that. We don't know. And there's people that are pushing the envelope. You better believe there's folks pushing that fucking envelope. So, excuse me. I enjoyed the comments yesterday about Blue Cheer, and a couple comments reminded me, see, I've lost so many records and had so many records like many of us. It's been a long time. But I used to have Population 1 or 2 by Randy Holden and got it as a cutout as a kid, as a young person. And like I say, I've been through many weird changes, mainly because of my religious upbringing, where I was conflicted and psychotic about the content of music, and I would sell the records, give them away. And do I regret it? Yes. Yes, I do. I wouldn't have enough room for all the records that I've gotten rid of in the house, but I still, when I look back, I had some amazingly rare records before I realized what I had. So the other drummer that I was trying to think of yesterday, who passed away recently, who's not a household name, but a name that I know, is Sven Ake Johansson. I have him on a couple other records, but this one I remember to grab. It's Manfred Schoof on trumpet, the early quintet. Primarily the drummer on this album is Jackie Liebezeit, who was in Can, and in this band, this before Can, 1966. But Johansson plays on one track on here, okay? I have him on another album at least. I wanted to add that because, excuse me, people like these musicians deserve the limelight, and so many of them have done so many creative, wonderful things that have pushed the boundaries of music forward, and we actually will hear the results of their exploration through other people using these things, even sometimes unknowing the origins of such techniques. Maholo and Johansson are among that group of musicians who, because of the nature of what they did, they were opening what could be done with drums and percussion. Cheers. I have 2 Chris McGregor Brotherhood of Breath albums. Yes, Maholo is on those. So, okay, I'll just talk a little bit more, and then I grabbed some records from out of the other room just because they just keep popping up in my head, in my thoughts. It's like, well, grab them, even if I don't play them. it's just like cut one record just keeps popping up in my thoughts, so I'll show it today. But so what's on my plate today? What's on your plate today? I don't mind if if you want to tell me. I've had some people who have felt the need to write long things about what's going on with them in the comments. I don't mind, and you know, depending on what you're saying and catching the flavor of your need to speak, I read it. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that's flippant or I just don't understand. I don't, but I don't leave it. I delete it. Okay. But what's on my plate for today, besides continuing, if some ideas come, because I have something to present for my deadline on Friday to Douglas to see if we want to keep moving forward. But I want to keep trying to pick away at what I've started. Like some writers who like to have a discipline of sitting down at the typewriter or the keyboard on a regular basis to work. I like to do that at times, but not all the time. So anyway, that's on my plate today. But also I forgot to mention that the other thing that I need to get done today is I'm not going to go to California, but at the end of this month, my younger sister Adrian is having an exhibit opening. And this is not her first art exhibit, as it turns out, because she called me the other day. Hi, Adrian, if you see this. Man, she's a good artist. But this is pretty cool because it's going to be an exhibit in LA, some big gallery out there. It's going to be running for 2 months. Now, here in Omaha, unless I'm mistaken, exhibits usually run for about 30 days. And she's going to use my music and my great nephew Devin's music. I've shown you his CDs. She's going to use our music to curate. It's the right word, maybe not, but that she's using our music for this exhibit all month. And when she talked to me, she asked if I was on Spotify, and I said, well, yeah, but really not my choice, and not all my stuff is on there. It's just the FPE record stuff. And she said she didn't want to do that, but that was what the person that she's working with at the gallery suggested for background music for the exhibit to be running, is just to use a Spotify playlist. And I'm so glad she said, I don't want to do that. But I said, you finally got to the point, Adrian, that you like my music. Can't you choose some pieces that you like? And she said, I'd rather trust you to create, And so what I plan to do is today, is get it done today, is to create at least 2 1-hour playlists of my music. And not just create the playlist, but actually, put it together and send it to her for this. So that's exciting. I'm happy for her because she's been putting this off for a while. People have been bugging her to do an exhibit for a long time. So I'll do that today, and I'm happy for her. And so you folks that live out in LA, once I know what gallery it is, I'll share it here. You'll be able to go see my sister's artwork and hear my music along with it. I like that idea. One more thing before I show the records I pulled today to show is I meant to respond to Mr. Dawson regarding Keith Jarrett. That really was seeing Keith Jarrett back in the 70s. This was back in the 70s. That was a one-of-a-kind experience. I've seen a few others like that. But Keith Jarrett is very emotional. And the other person, well, the whole band was amazing, but as I check my memories, besides Keith being really emotive that night, singing a lot while he's playing, the other person who stood out to me was Charlie Haden. He was almost like a monk with his presence. but his playing and the sound of the bass was, good God, so full, so just verb throughout the body. And the other wonderful memory of that concert, which was at a college, it was at Wesleyan College, so it was a small room, small group of people, was that I got to experience it with my best friends at the time, my musical circle. Stephanie, if you see this, Mark Jaunty, you know who I'm talking about. Mark is one of my best friends in high school. We're still friends. We just don't, talk all the time, but we get together occasionally. But he and Ralph and Bob, we got to experience that together. And it was a rush because we were all there for the music. And so it just increased the vibration of the experience. If I had been alone, I would have tried to stay and meet Keith Jarrett, but I was with my friends and they were driving. But couple other concerts from around that time period that come to mind that are in that same feel is I saw McCoy Tyner. Whoa! And I bootlegged the concert. I had a cassette that I sneaked into the auditorium and recorded it. But the first time my other house was broken into, because of some stupid behavior on my part in conjunction with drug dealing, the people broke into my house, stole my stash, and music. They took a bunch of my cassettes, which still perplexes me. But that was one. McCoy Tyner was just mind-blowing. So intense. Oh, God, he was intense. Yeah, those were special moments. I don't know how much jazz music is happening on that level of intensity these days, because it may just be my perception, but I don't think that the music means what it meant to people these days. I don't. Anyway, when I was pulling the blue cheer out in the bees, this kept coming up to mind. Bo Grumpus, Before the War, their only album. Same time period. This is like 1969. 68. This is 1968. And this is quietly psychedelic. Produced by, is it? Yep, produced by Felix Popularity, who was Cream's producer, and he was in Mountain, famously murdered by his wife. And this is the first time that we hear Traveling in the Dark, which Mountain, that's where I first heard it, but this version came out first. Also of note is N.D. Smart on drums, who was in the Nas for a while. I haven't played this in a while, but I remember I'm going to play this today. I like this album. But it kept popping up in my thoughts. It's like, I don't know why, but that happens. While I was there, I thought I'd go ahead and show this because I love the cover, but I also really like this album. Kind of folky. The name of the band is Bread, Love, and Dreams, and the name of the album is Amaryllis. And this is that English folk rock thing that was happening back in the 60s. And this is really good. The side one is Amaryllis, part 1, 2, and 3. I've read the story, but I don't remember it all. But this is charming. That's a word to use for this music, is charming. This is another one where, long before I was able to get the record, I burned it on CD. I like this. They have another album. I have that on burn. Another old album of mine, out of the Bees. And this one is a permanent, because it's a wonderful album. Excuse me. Cheers. And it has one of my favorite songs on it. The band Bread. This is my copy from childhood. On the Waters. Loved this album. Loved David Gates' songwriting and voice and harmonies, the way he writes harmonies. The song on here that is my list of favorite songs in the Afterglow on here by Bread. Love it. As a child, whenever Bread came on the radio, it was special. Make It With You, Guitar Man. Those are melodic, lovely songs. And if I understand correctly, David Gates was, along with the likes of Lou Reed, in his early years, a songwriter. Like publishers would hire young people like hacks to write songs. I think that's how David Gates got his start. But overall, I liked. Oh, also, Been Too Long on the Road. Excuse me. That's two. Shit, what am I saying? The Other Side of Life. This is a favorite album. Bread, On the Waters. Now, I used to own some of their other albums, but that's the one. That's the one. I kept that. Okay, so I pulled some more B's because they're out there. I'll keep going. Here's one that I'm going to play to decide whether to keep this. This is from my New Age post-punk days. I haven't played this in decades. Breathless. Nailing Colors to the Wheel. I have to play this because I've had more Breathless records and I got rid of them. I think I kept this one. Is this an LP or an EP? It's an EP. If I remember correctly, there was or is a connection to The Cure. Lol Tolhurst possibly was involved with this band. But anyway, I pulled that because that needs to get played to see if I'm going to keep it. Some of this real old music, like the Blue Cheerin' stuff, which is nostalgia and my childhood and my past, and it's not stuff that I'm playing these days, but those records are permanent as far as my life. Those are permanently in my collection. Okay? But I'm fine, but there's stuff that it's like, okay, your time has come and gone. The Breathless is possibly one of those. While I was out there in the bees, I'm showing this. This is more from my progressive rock side of the collection. Francois Breant, Sons Optiques. This is just wonderful. Instrumental. It's very soundtrack-like, but it's got that, to me, the audio juice that I look for. That's the term that I'm going to use this morning. The audio juice, like an orange or a very juicy piece of fruit, where the flavors are really full and captivating. And this fits the bill. This one in particular, and then the next one, Voyeur Extra Lucide, is almost as good. Okay, so I'm hearing some rumblings outside, but it's just the regular. This is the time. It's almost 8 o'clock, and so it's time, if I'm gauging this correctly, that it's time for the daycare people to come and pick up the kids. So I hear a little bit of talking outside. Hopefully that's all it is. I don't dislike my neighbor. I don't. And then I pulled this because it's in the bees, and this is of interest. I need to play it because it's different. Anthony Braxton's son, Tyondai Braxton, he was in Battles. Hive 1. On None Such. This can be considered modern, contemporary, classical. I have to play it again. I can't describe it. It's pretty damn cool, though. I love that about music, and that's why I'm more into music now than movies or, say, for example, fiction books. So I started reading the book by The Mailman. And what I can say is the guy is intelligent, very good writer, really descriptive, good, clear, descriptive, but um, strong imagery in the words that he uses. Okay, I'm not really interested in the story, so that's what I have to share. It's like it's a saga, and it looks like it's really well written. Not really interested in fiction, even though it's based on what can happen and is happening. The book is based on what is happening. Easily, I can see it in the future years after I'm dead, where things in America have devolved so bad that the rich people have completely abandoned government and infrastructure, and regular people like us are left to band together like tribes to survive. This has been written about by several science fiction writers as well as um, thinkers, people who can see. I see it. I've been seeing it since I was a kid. I remember about 16 years old when it all started to really unfold to me what was really going on. It was partially because of being at that all boys prep school, going to with Trump types, rich, spoiled silver spoon type kids. I could see the lay of the land and what's really going on and how it's a shutout. I'm shut out as a black man. Barack Obama, even though he was the president, he's still shut out. That's, and I'll shut up here in a minute. That's the problem with racism and the history of white privilege on the planet and in America is that I never wanted to be white. I want the same regard in society as white people get, and we don't get it still. People on an individual basis, we regard each other with respect, love, and care. But on the society, especially with Trump in office and the racist Republicans back in the driver's seat, you're taking us back to the old ages where it's like they want to beat us down cruelly. Not just black people, anybody of color. This whole ICE thing, it ain't about immigrants, it's about racism. Trump hates black people, he hates brown people, hates women. It's so obvious. This stuff affects me personally, directly. That's why I talk about it. Okay? If I was, and I'll say it, I don't care if you don't like it, if I was white or of a certain other nationality that has lots of money, I ain't going to say who because I don't want to piss people off, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But if I was rich enough, I wouldn't care. But I'm down here on the street level, baby. Last thing I'll share is this. I hope I don't jinx myself. Because Grapefruit Records does not hold. They don't hold records. But they just got in a large collection which has a lot of prog in it. They let me take a look at what's in there and point out the stuff I'm interested in, but they won't hold it for me. So what I have to do is when the stuff goes on sale, and they said they'd let me know, I got to go down there because there's a couple things that I want. They're not crucial, but it's like, oh yeah, this belongs in my collection. I haven't seen a copy of this for a long time. Most of the collection that they bought, I already own, which I kind of like that. It's like, yeah, I know this music. Progressive rock, the history of progressive rock, especially UK based. I got that stuff. A lot of it. But there's always things that I want. Okay, so I actually was thinking I wasn't going to show this. But when I went downtown yesterday for the purpose of the responding to Simon letting me know about this collection and that I could go through it, I went over to Homer's because I'd seen This in their used update, recent used update. It was last week. Nova, Sun City, Italian-based prog band, jazz rock. Their first album, Vimana, I think that's their first album, is excellent. I love that. And every album afterwards got worse. I knew that this was probably going to be that, but for the sake of my collection, I went ahead and got it, and also it was cheap. And this is dreadful. Sun City. I don't know who this record was for, but the person. Okay, let me get it right. Yeah, I was watching an interview with Omar Hakim, the drummer, excellent drummer, and he was talking about Nile Rodgers and other stuff. He's worked on a lot of stuff. It's him playing drums on Money for Nothing on Dire Straits, I just found out. But he was talking about the difference between Nile Rodgers and a lot of people and producers is that Nile has impeccable taste. And that's how I feel about myself. I got good taste when it comes to music. This is tasteless. And my friend, who I never met, but we talked online, Rick Parnell, is on drums on this album. Good drummer. This is a shitty album. Singing on all the songs, I think the words are really crap. And it's on Arista, which also rings true to me, that Clive Davis's label, all he ever cared about was making money and commercializing everything, taking the beauty out of music and just making it sell. And that's an example of it, that Nova album. It's in the collection now. I can't sell it. Nobody wants that crap. It's a terrible album. It really is. But the thing that when I went there to grab that, because I knew that was there at Homer's, I went ahead and looked in at least a couple sections, because I hadn't looked into the electronic music section in a while, because the electronic music section is generally pretty fucking sad. Homer's, if you see this, you know I ain't lying. But apparently this just got reissued. I didn't know about it. Underworld, their first album. No, their first good album. I think they had 2 albums before this. Dub No Bass Was My Headman. I'll never forget the first time I heard this. I was in Japan. And my Japanese friends, Kunio of the brothers, got this right away, 94. I said, what is this? And those graphics perfectly fit. If you've seen the videos for this, it's perfect. It still sounds of the moment. It still sounds completely modern. And this apparently was just reissued by the band, because the label is Smith Hyde Productions. So they made enough money that they've incorporated, or whatever you want to say. This album is killer. Skyscraper, I Love You. This album is badass. Badass. So I was real happy to get that. And for a minute I was thinking I wasn't going to show it to you. I don't have to be like that. I'm happy to get this. And look at this. This is going to be a long-ass upload. One more thing I keep forgetting to mention is that if you are watching my old videos and you see that there's commercials in front of the videos, that's not me. I am not monetized, okay? I don't want those commercials there. I'm not getting any money from that. That's YouTube doing that, you know? I don't want that shit on my videos. And I don't monetize because of all of their rules. You know, all the censoring that they expect you to do. Fuck that. So I just wanted to explain that. I'm not getting money from those commercials when you watch my old videos. I hate that, okay? So, tomorrow is my brother's birthday, and I'll just probably talk about him tomorrow. Take care, people.